What up, Tom?
Not much, man. Not much.
Everything's up. Come on, man. So, if you are listening to this, we appreciate it. And Tom and I have built a really incredible philosophy, and we've helped so many people. We've helped ourselves. It's believe, behave, become. What we realized is we never really tell stories about these things. We never really allow any of you who are listeners to kind of peek behind the scenes of certain situations that either Tom and I have observed or we've experienced or been involved with, where we see this belief, behave, become actually change people's lives, allow successes to happen, realize where struggles happen, realize that you are becoming something different. So we figured we'll share some of the experiences in more of a story format because we realized we like more of that versus just dictation or casual conversation. We've tried all of them. Maybe this will work. Maybe it won't. We'll find out. Right, Tom?
It's always an experiment. It's an experiment. Is the data there that supports the experiment? What are the variables we're going to put into this to make this more relatable to people? That's what it is. It's the nature of the situation. I love it.
Well, we've never
So
we've never paid attention to the data of our podcast. I guess let me
no,
rephrase. It's not never. We did in the beginning a little bit, and then we just realized it doesn't really matter. Individual feedback that we got that it's changed someone's life, or it's touched them, or they learned something, or they completely disagreed with us and they want to talk about it. Like that's the feedback. That's the data. At least I use to be like, why are we, on our third? Well, no, we're on our fourth year of doing this now. Jeez, Louise.
yeah. Well, when I say data, data is a lot of different things. It's that feedback. Feedback is data, right? It's information that comes back to you, and the whole point of this is why we even do this is to get you to think differently, get you to relate to different situations, understand what you might be thinking of or what's happening in your life, because usually when you listen to something, you get information that you need at the moment that you're going through something. And that's what I think a lot of these situations become is really just reference points to validate something for you. So that's what the hope is, right? That we're going to talk about people believing in things and behaving and becoming that CEO. It might be very poignant at this time for you to experience whatever that is, and hopefully you relate to it. And we tend to speak about a lot of different things, but situations, we're gonna talk about different situations that we've seen each of these philosophies come to life in our experience in working with many people.
Yeah, one of the pivotal things we've seen in when someone really changes their beliefs or understands their beliefs and adopts those beliefs, because that's what it's about. It's not necessarily that you have to change your beliefs. Sometimes you have to accept the beliefs that are deep down inside of you. And we've noticed this with people in fatherhood, haven't we, Tom?
100%.
Yeah. What would you say the reason or what have you seen in fatherhood? Like for me, I've seen when, not for us, but other people, because we could talk about ourselves too, but for other people, I've seen when they have gone through a transition of they've built a business and they've started to have some success. And then all of a sudden they find out, wow, I'm going to be a father. And that moment, for any of you out there who are fathers like Tom and I, it changes everything. Like
100%.
yeah, it literally changes the way you act, the way you think, the way you get dressed, the more like every little thing. And something that most people don't consider is what it changes in your belief system in your business, right?
Well, yeah, it changed it. Well, first of all, you start to believe in being serious about something for the first time, or maybe it's the next thing in your life to be serious about. But when you hear those, the words fatherhood, like what does that really mean? It's I believe I am someone with purpose, maybe. I believe that I am serious, and that's what we've seen a lot of people do is they become serious about it. And when they treat their families or their business, they start to look at themselves and they believe that they are the true head of whatever it is, their business, their family that they are now entering into. And we definitely see that change in a lot of people.
Yeah, and the seriousness sometimes isn't really like, oh, I'm going to take my business more serious. It's that wow, what I do as a business owner is more meaningful. It has a deeper, I'm going to provide for a child now. And that moment when you realize it, it sets off this whole chain reaction where you look at your business differently and you start to have different beliefs about what's going on. And we've seen people just pivot on a dime. It's like they find out, wow, it's like I'm going to be a dad, and they literally start talking to us different. They will, they will instantly say, well, hey, what about X, Y, and Z? What about these things? And they think longevity, and they're starting to look into the future. And the thing is they, as you would recognize in certain situations, is they're using more of their instincts, right? Is what you said.
Yeah, I mean, your instincts obviously come to life very differently when you hear you're gonna be a father than you even see yourself as a CEO of a business or the head of a business. The instincts changes your awareness. You start to become much more aware of the things around you that could negatively impact you, or the things that could be pose a challenge to you that you need to be prepared for, like, and be ready for. And I think as dads, a lot of the times you're trying to anticipate what comes next, not just next, but what comes 5 steps from now, and being ahead of that. And I think that you start to then see your own business like as, "Oh my god, I really have to be 5 steps ahead here, but I believe that I can," then it's like the challenge of, do you believe you can do it or not? And it comes down to, I have to believe because I don't have a choice. There's not a choice here. I've now entered this part of my life where I'm becoming a father, I am a father, and there's other people, as you often say, in my charge that we have to be there for. And we have to start to look at the world, and those instincts take over to protect and be safe and to defend and to make sure that everyone is in that place where they have security. And I think you start to look at, and all those instincts tend to come out, and you may not have believed in those things in the past. And I'm thinking there's been a few people that I think we've worked with that when they became a parent, the partying was done, and it was time to really say, and the failure, the failure option was there, but now it's very different. You start to see, "Oh my god, I have to really be ready for all this stuff, and I gotta believe that I am ready and capable of it." Because if you don't believe that, that's will get in your way.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying in these situations when we find people like, oh my gosh, I'm having a child, and they change their belief system changes instantly. Like in our Be the CEO program, even the first meeting, we talk about who are you now and who do you want to become, and who is your business now and who do you want to become. And what we do, the reason we go through that is so people can really say out loud in an environment with trusted advisors, like, hey, this is who I want to become. And for many of them, it's the first time they've shared that with anybody. When you become a father, who you want to become isn't really your choice now. You just like, oh my gosh, I am a father. And that's what happens is when you all of a sudden you believe in everything a little bit differently because of who you've become. And when people find out, it's like, oh, I'm going to be a father, they're in that transition period. It's who am I now? I'm someone who's having a child, but I know in 9 months or however many months are left, and when they find out, 7 months usually, or well, I guess 7 months when the family and friends find out. But in okay, here we go. In 9 months, I'm going to be a father. So the cool thing about that is it almost forces people in that situation to think in the future, which is really what CEOs must do. And if you're going to believe, behave, become, if you're going to start behaving in a certain way to become something, there's no better practice than like, all right, I'm going to start thinking of the ways I'm going to be a father. And we've watched that bleed over into business where because they're thinking about, all right, in 9 months, I'm going to need a crib, I'm going to need diapers, I'm going to need a car seat. They're also thinking in their business, well, in 9 months, when I have that car seat and this, I'm going to need to be out of work at this time to do those things. So I need to delegate certain stuff and I need to hire people. And they start believing that, wow, this is a very different life that I am building now. This is a very different business. So it's expediting the belief system because it's thrust upon you. And this happens, fatherhood, we're talking about children, but fatherhood or parenting could be with you actually starting a business or when you bring in your
Right.
first employee.
Well,
It's
I think go ahead,
no,
finish that thought. I think the biggest thing that you see is that when a lot of people, when we ask that question, "Who is your business and who is your business? Who do you want it to become?" We ask it who, we personify it, and I think one of the things that I've observed more recently is when someone recognizes, "Oh my god, it's my child," right? It's the business is my child. It takes on a new belief system of, "I am the father, the parent of this child, and I've gotta do everything possible to protect it from danger, teach it what it needs to know to become this self-functioning human being that I want it to be," and those beliefs kick in really strong about your business when you do have that change of life and you become a father
right.
if you haven't become one prior to,
Yeah, and
and you
this
see
is
it
it's a
differently.
unique time in someone's life when this happens. But the reason I wanted to share this is because I think people can force this.
Mhm.
Right? You can actually make this
Yeah.
happen if you start to realize that like you are the guardian of something, whether it's you're the guardian of your clients who've given their hard-earned money to you, you are the guardian of this business that clients rely on to keep up and running, you are the guardian of your employees. And if you can kind of shift your thinking of like, wait a minute, I am kind of a, and we'll put it that way, a guardian of something, then it's that becomes serious. It's like, holy shit, I have to actually act differently. And that makes you believe in something, which I think it's just we got to see it in a very short duration, with people. And that leads into behaving, right? Because once you believe, then you can start behaving in a certain way. And why don't you talk about one of the situations we've seen recently with behavior, like where we really wow, someone's actually behaving
Yeah.
like a CEO
Well,
now.
I think that belief creates a certain amount of certainty, right? Like I believe this thing, therefore I'm very certain, and now I have to go out there and behave like it. And one of the things that we do with our clients as part of the Be the CEO program is meaningful goals and standards. And when you believe so strongly in something, you set out the goals to achieve those things that you want to accomplish because you have a certain amount of certainty with it, and then you set these standards. And we saw someone recently just do a tremendous job at setting goals and standards because there was such crystal clear um, belief and certainty about what they're going to do, and it was so precise and it was so well thought out and it was so comprehensive, yet it was so simple. And those beliefs matched up so nicely, those meaningful goals matched up so nicely with the standards that were set, because standards are become the behaviors that you operate within to really see your belief of who you are manifest itself and become to on the road to becoming it. You've got to have that, that way of behaving. We do standards and we do values because those are all the things that dictate these behaviors. And when you really embrace that behavior and you do it with such clarity, it's amazing to see what happens. And we've looked at several people differently once they've set these standards now, because it's like, holy shit, yeah, they're behaving like a CEO now. Now they're acting the part, and they're not just acting it; they're fully incorporating it into their life and their way of and their habits and how they approach things.
Well, what I really saw was that this when people go through it and they really have a concrete belief, and you said a good word, you said they were certain about their beliefs, right? When they have this certainty about their beliefs, and then they're going to set these goals, and that's it. We all do that. We all set goals. But when you set a meaningful goal and it's attached to your new certainty and your beliefs, what we've seen is these people are just laser focused, as Tom said, but they're locked in, so they don't have to think about it, right? It's like when they're setting it, it's just attached to everything else, and that's really what it means to behave like a CEO. Is like you know exactly the path that you're going down, you know where you want to get to, and you have to make decisions very quickly but very simply. And that's what I watched happen, especially with this one scenario. It was impressive because he was never that way before. He was always like skeptical, or he would throw out a few different options. I could do this and I could do that. And he was kind of testing the waters, where now he was like, no, I am sure of what I'm doing, so I am going to set this meaningful goal. And it came out with such simplicity from him, with it almost looked like no thought. And that was the beauty of this particular situation. It's like, wow. And we've seen that with so many people, that we can tell in that moment, like, oh, you're not behaving like a CEO. And that's the thing is, and so I guess where you could sum it up is like, whether or not they had certainty in that situation would allow them to behave that way. But it's really incredible to watch. Like, if you're certain, if you're at the roulette table and you're certain you're going to bet on black, right? You just put the chips down. But if you're holding all the chips in your hand and you're like, well, I don't know, should I bet on black? Should I bet on red? Should I go on, 1 to 30 or whatever the numbers are, 1 to this
One
or this to
1 to
36, or
36.
yeah,
You
like
see it, well, two
which one
zeros
should
to
I
36,
do? And
yeah,
like, that's uncertainty. And so
right.
that's what I'm saying is, what I've watched certain people do is, in that situation, they're able to just, I'm betting on black. Like, wow, okay. And he just said it. And then they did it. And it's like, whoa, okay. I believe in your bet. Whether or not it's gonna work out, that's up to the roulette wheel. Right? Now, luckily in business, you can put a little effort and you can tilt the table a little and do your thing. But there is no certainty in the outcome of achieving these goals. There's certainty in, I'm going to work towards achieving this goal. And that's what this person had. It was like, yeah, I'm going after this because I believe in it.
One of the things that I observe too is and the way you said it too, they're locked in, right? And when you're locked in, the decisions just flew very fluidly, and there was no fear, right? That was one of the things that really impressed me, is this is someone, that we sometimes see as wavering on their decisions, and all of a sudden that person is now transitioned because they finally believe in it, that they can go and make such a decisive choice, and have a decisive action, and just do it, and fear didn't even enter their mind, because I think they part of the belief that influenced that behavior is also knowing that, no, I got this shit. I'm not gonna. There's nothing that's gonna stop me when I know I'm ready to do this. I'm gonna do it, and it's gonna fucking happen. And there's not even that ounce of doubt or that shred of doubt, and that's such a big part of a transition from someone who's becoming that CEO. Now they starting to embrace that behavior. Like, no, I'm gonna make a decision. I'm gonna go with it, and whatever happens, I'll deal with the consequences. But I believe in it so much, right? I believe that if I put my chips on black, black is coming out. And when black doesn't come out, I'm going to use my next chips to, and then I'm going to win, and I'm going to get my 50% back that I already, or, the 100% back that I already gambled away. And I'm going to make up for it. And those behaviors and those decisive actions that you take when you have that belief because you're so certain about it, it's remarkable, and you can see that major transition happen, and it's like, hell yeah, I like that. People respond to decisive action. And this is important when you're running a company, is people are going to take your lead, and this guy is starting to behave in that role specifically, that people are going to take that lead and be like, yeah, this guy's in charge. Shit, yeah, this guy is in charge. And that really will allow him to become, right? And that's what I think will allow a lot of people to become, is that you give that persona of, I'm in charge. My behavior says I'm in charge. I've got it. Follow me. Let's go. It just promotes all of those things when you have such a deep belief in what you're about to do.
Yeah, and that is that transition, right? You can behave like a CEO, but when do you actually become one? And what we've seen in certain scenarios is like, this person that we were just talking about, they were very, here's my goal. That's great, right? And that's starting to make decisions. And decisions are, yeah, I'm behaving like a CEO. The next thing is execution, right? That's really when you start to see, wow, someone has become a CEO. And we had someone that had an incredible vision, right? This meaningful goal. And it was an incredible vision. And it really was impactful not only to him, but society and everything else. And it wasn't just like I set this meaningful goal, is they really became this CEO, and they were already a very successful person, but they did it by just starting to build a team. Like, okay, I'm going to put the things in place that need to be done to execute on this vision, because they realize I can't do this all alone. It's a great vision. I've made a decision. I truly believe in it. But in order to become a CEO and just not some guy that grinds it out, because that's what he always did in his business before, he would just grind it out, and very successfully, multi millions of dollars. But it was like, wow, I actually need a full on team to execute this vision. And that was the real big shift. It was like, okay, if if I can do this, no, I am doing this, no, I did this. And it was like, wow, you've become a CEO. And when we look at him now, it's like it's just so impressive of a human being. But it's that situation for anybody that they're in it, is like, if you can truly start executing or delegating execution on an overall meaningful goal, instead of just setting it, instead of just deciding you're going to do these things, it's actually, when are you regularly doing the thing? That's when we watch people become a CEO.
Yeah, it's a complete shift in how you think, and that's what allows the execution, right? It's all of this is a shift in thinking at the end of the day. And anybody who has ever started a company, they always feel like I got to do all this shit myself. I got to figure this out. I got to do this thing. But when you can go right into I'm gonna delegate this. I'm gonna put this person here, put that person there, get everybody together, get everybody organized, lead the way, lead the charge, and everybody knows exactly what they need to do. That's when kind of like you could say, I've arrived, right? I've arrived. I know what I'm doing here. It's not something I have to even think about because it has become such a ingrained behavior that this is now what I just do, right? And I think that's the moment, kind of like, too, like when people ask us what we do, we had to figure out all these different things, what we believed in, how we were going to behave, and we can say now this is what we do. And it's the same thing when you become the CEO. There's no more questioning it. This is what you do. This is how it is, and it's either you follow or you go along with it or you go somewhere else. And that's a big thing that I think you're saying here, is the execution of that is such a critical turning point in the evolution of yourself as the CEO. Is if you can now execute exactly what you believe in, the way you work to behave, and make it all happen. It's like, yeah, I'm here, this is just what I do, right? You don't need to think about it anymore. It just happens because it's who you are and what you do.
Well, hope this was more informative to you. If you want to know more about our Be the CEO program, go to bethe.ceo. It's very simple, www.bethe.ceo, and see what we're doing. Maybe you need that.